One, and we're live with John Bodrozic. John is a founder at HomeZada. He's all about home owning AI, having a digital home. He's an entrepreneur in prop tech, fintech, insurtech, sort of all in one. We're gonna discuss about his platform today. It's not his first company. He was president at Meridian Systems. Trimble Navigation at some point, and Meridian Project Systems. He's from Folsom, California. I'm in Oaxaca, Mexico. This podcast is presented to you by BookWriteGPT.com. If you want to take your LinkedIn post and create a beautiful book out of it, you can publish on Kindle. You can go to BookWriteGPT.com. The first credit is on me. John, welcome to the pod. Tell me a bit more about yourself and what you're up to nowadays.
Hello, Charles. Thank you. Yeah, it's great to be here. Yeah, I guess I'm a serial entrepreneur. I guess only because it's my second one, but I just got into entrepreneurship 4 or 5 years after college. Was in the commercial construction industry. You talked about Meridian Systems. It was 26 years old back in the pre-dot-com era in terms of dating myself with the gray and the goatee. And me and a guy said, let's create a software company to help these big construction companies build high-rise buildings in LA and NFL stadiums and Las Vegas casinos. And it was careful what you wish for, you just might get it. The entrepreneur journey was fantastic. Bootstrapped, cash flow, profitability, grew it, eventually raised a venture round, raised a corporate venture round, grew it to like a 250 person company, did it for about 16, 17 years. So for me, entrepreneurship is, there's a certain segment of categorization that I like, and it's the marathon, not the sprint for me. I enjoy creating valuable products for our end customers. Fortunate to sell that company to a Trimble. So I got experience working for, publicly traded company, hitting revenue and quarterly revenue and profit targets as a public U.S. traded company. And then decided, you know what, there's one more startup in me, and we wanted to do HomeZada, which, like you said, is all about helping homeowners manage what everybody tells them is your largest asset, biggest expense is your home.
Right. And I think I had a couple of these apps founders on my podcast, right? Like where you manage everything that's related to your house. I think, yeah, the house is still 80 to 90% of folks' best investments, right? The second, I guess, would be stocks. So what does it do precisely, and why would it be useful for me, a homeowner?
Yeah, so it starts with when we ask the homeowner, where's all the important data about your house? And the answer usually is it's scattered everywhere in paper or in Google spreadsheets or in, cloud storage or on your local mobile device.
Or it's not.
Huh?
Or it's not.
Or
It's
it's
like there's
not,
just no
exactly.
data nowhere.
Data's nowhere, right? So if you think about that analogy, like the stocks and bonds portfolio, right? People usually have an app, they go in, they see their entire financial picture of that sort of asset class. But your home is one of your largest assets and biggest expenses, and yet there's no single login to see all the important data. So what do we actually do? Probably about 4 or 5 things in summary. One is home inventory. Take photos and videos of your home, process it via AI for insurance purposes. You think about, in the United States, how many people have lost their homes to hurricanes, floods, the fires in LA, making sure you're properly insured and prepared in case you need to file a claim. We create a maintenance calendar for you. My analogy there is you buy a home and it doesn't come with an owner's manual. It doesn't tell you what to do and when to do it. So every homeowner who buys their first home is on a journey of discovery of like, oh, I didn't know I had air filters, or I didn't know I should clean my refrigerator cooling coils so that it keeps running for the next 5-10 years. So we create a preventative maintenance calendar that reminds you of all these things to keep your home efficient. Remodeling, the home improvement industry is a couple $100 billion a year industry. Consumers love to remodel their homes. Most don't know how to create a budget, track cost. They don't know how to hire a contractor. They don't know what the long-term implications are on the tax basis on their house. The other thing we do is sort of aggregate all your financial data. What's my home currently worth? How much equity do I have? What's my true total cost of ownership? My property tax, insurance, utilities. And then the most exciting thing for us in the last 12 months is we've been incorporating AI generative AI into the platform, and it's getting amazing results from our customers who are using it, and it's really, really accelerating the usage of the product.
Right. And you mentioned like a journey of yeah, probably confusion, but I would also mention for some of us it's a journey of despair, right? Let's say you buy a house, the foundations are crooked, or the roof is leaking. That is like a lot of people, it can like financially break them just to have that. What about the inspection side? Are you taking care of some of that, or it's once the house is bought? Or also you can prevent a future roof from leaking, I guess.
Yeah, so we are working with some inspection companies who are looking forward to sort of providing what I refer to as a digital home to a customer. So inspections are, yeah, absolutely usually done when a home is being sold and bought, but it's a one-time inspection at that point in time, and they basically come to your house and they give you a list of what they think needs to be fixed. Which is great. And yeah, if you get a good inspection, you might know those things and may decide whether you want to buy the home or not. The challenge with the inspection is it's not telling you what could break in the next 30, 60, 90 days kind of mentality, and it's not reminding you of all those kinds of things. So yeah, it's what I call the trigger point of why homeowners sign up for HomeZada. Clearly, when they buy a home, usually after they've moved in 30 days, they're like, hey, we need a system to kind of manage this. But the trigger point is also you live in a hurricane area and people have lost their homes and are filing claims, and they're like, you know what, I really need to stop procrastinating and take a home inventory. Or you've been in your home for 5 years, you finally saved up enough money to do the kitchen remodel, and you're like, how do I budget for this? Or you're thinking about selling the home, and it goes back to what you said. Our AI tool will be like, hey, this gets into, my home is 17 years old. If I stay in this home, what are the major systems that I might have to replace in the next 5 to 10 years? Because as you said, every home ages, and all the major materials and equipment and appliances have a useful life. Roofs tend to only last 25, 30 years. HVAC units only last, 15 to 20 years. So our AI tool, almost with one click of the button, will spit out and basically give you forward-looking data on, hey, if I stayed here, how much am I going to have to invest in staying this home? And we're essentially trying to provide these future forecasted insights to help consumers decide, should I stay in this house, or should I sell this house and potentially move into a different one?
And are there some ROI features in which, like, hey, if I extend my deck, this would add X value to my house, or if I add a garage, or if I add XYZ to my house, would it extend add value to it? Is there like an ROI feature, like I would see my stocks go up in green, for example?
Absolutely. Yeah, it really triangulates 3 or 4 different data sets. So one data set is, what's the current market value of your home, right? So essentially that's based on current real estate conditions. And then there's the projects piece, where you could create unlimited projects. You're like, hey, maybe I do a deck, maybe I remodel my kitchen, maybe I landscape my backyard. You can create all these what I call wish list projects. Create a budget for those things, because are you going to spend 10 grand or 30 grand on the backyard, deck? And then once you create all those, then the AI tool is going to take your list of potential projects, produce a report that basically says, here's the potential ROI on doing this project. And then you can do a toggling analysis to add it to the current market value of your home, where you're essentially deciding, maybe you don't do all 5 of your projects, but you do these 3, because that's going to create some, better ROI for you. So it's a very powerful interactive kind of tool that brings together the 2 or 3 different components of the HomeZada platform.
And tell me about the plans here. I see $100 a year. I see $190 a year for the deluxe plan, which I guess is for people that manage properties, or let's say realtors, for example. Yeah, do people go monthly most of the time, or do most folks go annually?
Yeah, candidly, most people go annually. The monthly plan is more or less for the people that want to kick the tires. Essentially, we have a free version, and the free version allows you to sort of understand the user interface and take a home inventory in terms of primarily the photos. And we give you an allocation to sort of test the homeowner AI in terms of the power of it. So the people that are signing up for the monthly, they tend to be the type of consumer that wants to further test something before they're willing to commit it. But candidly, at a price point of $99 a year, it's cheaper than your monthly coffee bill, and yet it's sort of helping you manage your largest financial asset. So we think the price point is extremely reasonable given the power of what we're giving you. Most people are probably coming to us, going back to what you said, is they feel like their home is a money pit. There's a bit of a desperation, sort of frustration with it, of like, I need something to help me stop getting all these surprises over, additional investments in my home that I didn't know I needed to do. And I need this tool to sort of be an expert for me, that's open 24/7, that's pushing me proactive content. More and more people are sort of at initial sign up, jump to the $99 a year version. And there's also a pretty substantial segment of our customers that go to the deluxe, because if you think about it, like I said, most people think the home is their primary financial asset, but there's a lot of people that own multiple homes, and they're doing it for additional passive income, right? They're going to buy a rental property, or they're going to have, let's say they're a little bit wealthier and they're going to buy a vacation home. And maybe the vacation home is a partial rental property with like an Airbnb or a VRBO or something. So now you've got 2 or 3 different homes, probably in different regions around the country, not necessarily located right next to your primary resident. Well, you need to have an app to be able to log in to see all the manufacturers of all your different equipment. You need to understand what that home value is because it's in a different area. So the people who own multiple homes really, really find value in HomeZada.
Right. And how do you find your customers? How do you find these folks? Is it Facebook ads? Is it SEO? Like, what do you market? Where do you market at? And yeah, what's your marketing budget nowadays?
Yeah. So when we launched the company, we knew that there was going to be what I called a heavy R&D investment, even though it sounds, the tagline, pretty simple: everything about your home in one place. We've kind of already talked all the different data elements that we needed to track. So we've been focused on, first, building out the platform and proving product market fit with consumers. And how we found those consumers today has been kind of a combination of SEO on some key terms: home inventory, home maintenance schedule, home remodel projects, those kind of key focus areas. Also done a lot of what I call guerrilla PR. A lot of media outlets write about the home. Oftentimes we get mentioned in some of those stories, whether it's real estate stories or home improvement stories. That's been really good for us. A lot of influencers that have, blogs are always looking for interesting content to write about homes. And then the fourth one is also an affiliate marketing program. So there's opportunity to join our affiliate marketing program if you have access to lots of homeowners and you're constantly producing content. You can write stories about HomeZada and essentially get the information out there and essentially participate in a revenue share with us. That's kind of what we've done to date, but I think we're really at an inflection point where the other aspect of our goals is B2B2C partnerships. So if you sort of think about how many different industries touch the home, right? There's the real estate industry with all the agents and brokers. There's the home insurance industry. There's the mortgage industry. There's the home improvement industry. All of these are a couple $100 billion a year markets with huge established players. They're looking for better customer engagement tools. How do I stay value add to my customer after I've sold them my core product? So we're starting to see an increase in pipeline of opportunities with strategic partner opportunities. So we're at the early phase of that, but pretty excited because you can imagine, pick a home insurance company may have 2 million policy members. Us doing kind of a strategic deal with them is clearly a goal of ours that could really ramp up and get more exposure to our product to their customer base and create the 3-way win. Their customer wins, they win, and HomeZada wins.
Right. And how's the company grown since 15 years? Because you we're at like publicly listed company. Is this one like more of a lifestyle type of companies and very steady growth, or are you still taking this big risk and you're seeing it grow like on a year to year basis by 200%?
Yeah, no, the growth rate is probably in the 15 to 25% range, but candidly, it goes back to the founding model of how we wanted to grow this company. We essentially wanted to bootstrap it because we had had that previous exit. So we've raised very, very little money, but the investment in building out the platform has probably been close to 15 to 20 million bucks because of what I call the sweat equity of a lot of the sort of co-founders working at this. So it's that founder mindset. We're a slightly different sort of typical startup. With the first thing we didn't do is try to go out and raise a bunch of money. The first thing we did was like use our own time and capital to build out the platform, and it's been a continuous journey of making those investments. And then I'll be frank, right? None of us had any consumer marketing experience. So we signed up for the entrepreneurial goal of understanding how to do consumer marketing and testing all these different sort of digital platforms to connect with consumers direct, understood conversion rates, the funnel. So we had to prove that consumers would sign up and use it, and then also wanted to prove out that consumer freemium subscription model, which we've done. That's been the bulk of the journey. But candidly, it also goes back to what I call the conversion rates. When we launched the freemium subscription model, a lot of people told us that consumers are never going to give you a credit card and pay you $100 for this. And we said, yeah, but I think consumers in today's society are knowledgeable enough to know that if the product is completely free to them, then their data is how the company gets monetized. And so we had a pilot with a large company. They hired a third-party consumer marketing firm, and they actually appreciated the fact that we had a subscription model. But going back to the growth rates, 5-6 years ago, our conversion rate from free to paid was like 2 to 3%. Now, our conversion rate is about 15%, which is the conversion growth rate has been massive. And I think that that's a combination of A, our longevity in the marketplace, and B, the platform does so much, which gets into people sign up for HomeZada for 1 or 2 or 3 key things, but it becomes very sticky for them because once they sign up and upload, 20, 30, 50 photos of their home, they're less likely to leave, more likely to be committed for basically the rest of their life being a homeowner.
And do you think that it's still a good investment for, let's say, a young guy like me to buy a house vs rent it and invest in startups or stuff that I am very good at and better at than just like buying a house and hoping it goes up in the next couple of years? And just let me add a caveat to that question. If we're going to get Y Combinator companies that are going to create incredibly cheap houses in the next couple of years, and if the real estate market is totally inflated nowadays?
Yeah, great question. I mean, my answer to that is it really depends, candidly. There's no single answer that I'm going to tell everyone they need to rush out to be a homeowner. And even if you are going to think about being a homeowner, you have to be discerning about where you're going to buy a home, how big the home is, at what price point, at what's the current market, because if you have to finance it, and to try to combine that with your overall lifestyle. So the home is one of these things where, yes, it's a financial asset, but it's also a lifestyle choice, right? So making other investments in your life, whether it's stocks and bonds or startups or something else, usually the primary way do you analyze those things on a pure financial basis. And yeah, the outcome of those will help improve your lifestyle, but if I currently live in a rented apartment and, I'm tired of the noise and the neighbors and I want peace of mind and I want to be able to entertain family and friends and where I currently live sucks, then there's the lifestyle angle of sort of buying a home, which is why it's one of these complex financial assets, because you have to really combine lifestyle with finances. But if I just focus in on the finance, yeah, you don't want to buy a house when the neighborhood is at the top of the market, the financing costs are super high, whatever the mortgage rates are historically, maybe they're at the top over the last 5-10 years. Maybe you want to be able to time it and find a home that's not in a highly desirable market, but in a market that's, moderate, that could be an up and coming market. I mean, I've bought 2 or 3 homes in my life. I've always bought sort of on the outskirts of a bigger city, much cheaper price, much cheaper financing. But then as that city grew with population, then the price of the real estate went up because there was more demand of people essentially moving into that location. So I think there's just a lot of different discernment that people need to make in your case of whether you should buy a home, and analyze the combination of lifestyle and finance, and then make those good decisions as it relates to choosing what home you do. As it relates to all the small homes and making it, better and cheaper, and 3D constructed homes, that's just another valuable sub asset class to the home. Meaning, you look at the homes in the United States, there's 120 million homes, right? Some of them have been recently built. Some of them are 10, 20, 30, 50 years old. Some are 100 years old. Some people acquire lots of personal wealth and they want to live in the, 10,000 square foot mansion. Other people want to live in vacation areas. I think the small 3D built homes, there's so many different types of homes: condos, townhomes, old homes, estate homes. It's essentially, it's almost like the analogous to the mini little stock market. Are you buying a large cap or mid cap, or an early startup? Think about the home inventory as the same, and more choices for people to get into the home ownership game that at a cheaper price point, I think is a welcome strategy.
Yeah, that's a good answer. What are your top goals for this year? What do you want to accomplish?
I think focusing in on those strategic partnerships. Again, we've been talking to a lot of people on the mortgage, insurance, real estate, home improvement categories. A lot of people are very interested in what we're doing. That the concept of homeowner AI is a little bit mind-blowing to people when we've shown them what we've done. I've shown what we've done in terms of what I call specific AI answers to your house. A lot of people have had experience going to some generative AI tool, ChatGPT, Gemini, whatever, and key in some questions and you get some feedback. But it's not, in our case, in our domain, it's not property specific advice. The advantage that we've built is we already had a platform so that when you sign up, we know your address. And based on that address, we know the age of your home, the location of your home, the size of your home, the square footage, etc. So now when you ask our AI tool questions about your home, it becomes very specific to your home, which becomes much more valuable and relevant. Now, when I dovetail that in terms of our strategic goals of those strategic partnerships, a lot of the partnerships were sort of big Fortune 500 companies doing demos with them, and they ask us, why is your AI much better than what we've tested? And it dawns on them that they're testing a generic platform and they're not necessarily doing a lot of the engineering work that we've already done, which is, it's not just the in and out of the AI. Consumers are not going to key in a huge prompt. We've done a lot of prompt engineering so that the consumer just clicks a text button and it automatically behind the scenes shoves in the prompt, which makes the data much more valuable. And then we save the data because you want to be able to aggregate all of your AI chat data that gets returned. And that's why a lot of these big strategic partners are like, wow, you guys have really built something that is pretty powerful that can be beneficial for us. So our core focus, yes, we need to continue to acquire consumers through our own consumer sort of efforts, but it's really those strategic partnerships that we think is really going to scale the company into, what is a massive opportunity.
And what is advice that you have for entrepreneurs that want to last in the game for multiples of decades like you did?
Good question. I'd say you probably need to figure out, the cost to build an MVP product is pretty low these days. So it's really at the very beginning, what can you sort of combine to build a product and test your revenue opportunity at the very beginning while keeping your overhead low. If you can do those 3 things in the very beginning, overhead low, cost to build the product relatively low, but basically prove out a revenue model, then you're not needing to raise capital, and you're capable of sort of staying in that, okay, maybe my growth rate isn't, a hockey stick sort of thing, but I'm capable of staying in business and kind of iterating. I can enhance my MVP product. I can test a different revenue model. I can grow my current revenue model, and you're kind of making those things in sync. The longer you can do that as an entrepreneur, the longer you're going to be able to last. And candidly, I think when you do decide it's time to go out and raise investor capital, you're probably in a better position, because the investors are going to look at you and say, wow, the founders know how to run a lean, efficient company on a cost basis. They've proven that they can build a product. They've proven that they can find a market with a revenue stream. Those things are going to be much less risk to an investor, probably more likely to invest in you.
Right, love it. John, where can people find out more information about you?
Two places. I mean, the startup is HomeZada, so it's HOMEZ as in zebra, AD as in dog, A.com. So it's HomeZada.com is where if they're a homeowner or a potential partner, I encourage them to go there. The other place is my LinkedIn profile. So it's my name, John Bodrozic. Not too many Bodrozics on LinkedIn in terms of commonality of name. Love to connect with you there. Also our Twitter feed, I participate a little bit on our HomeZada Twitter feed, so just go to X/Twitter, HomeZada. You can find us there. Those are sort of the three primary places where you can find us.
Perfect. I think my image is lagging here, but that was John Bodrozic.